Evening, folks. It's your man Donald King. Back to do his thing. How y'all feeling tonight? You have to forgive me. There's going to be a little bit of background noise in here. I have to open some windows and get a little bit of airflow in here along with the fan. AC in this older home that doesn't really work so great upstairs. And downstairs, the Wi-Fi doesn't get a great signal. So you have to choose between which is the lesser evil. Speaking of choice, that's what we're going to get into in tonight's podcast. You know, my grandma, she always tells me she has a vengeful spirit, right? She prays day in and day out to help her deal with this vengeful spirit, but she's constantly watching things and doing things that sort of reinforce this aggressive outlook, this desire to see justice exacted and forced upon the others. A lot of people are that way. You know, I got a lot of buddies who have strong tendencies to listen to folks who sort of stoke their senses of righteousness and, you know, appeal to their righteous indignation and desire to sort of judge and punish others, especially those they seek to define themselves against. They train themselves to be wounded animals that are constantly seeking justice. And if you were to ask them if they had to choose between getting even with those who they feel violate them, aggress against them in some way, or healing and becoming whole, they wouldn't know the difference between the two. I think that's most people, and forgive me as I continue to dial in here. Most people can't tell the difference between getting even and healing. Someone does something wrong to you, makes you mad, and getting over it doesn't begin until you get even. Until you get justice, right? You can't see, hear, consider anything that doesn't somehow circle back to you achieving moral symmetry. I wrote a post about that earlier today. Getting justice. Justice only exists in idealism. It does not exist in reality. The reason for this is because justice can never be even from two different vantage points. What one person thinks is fair, another person is not going to think is fair. Especially if they're on opposite sides of an issue. And even if they're on the same side of an issue, what they think is fair in terms of the dissemination of punishments and rewards, it's always going to be subjective. Justice and or moral symmetry, it only occurs at the individual level. It only occurs in ideals and or in idealism. It doesn't exist in reality. Balance exists in reality, right? I want you to think about it like this, right? Let's say a disease invades your body and it does all sorts of damage to your organs, and it makes you bleed and makes you hurt, makes your joints ache. Now, if you get mad at the disease, the more angry you get at the disease, the more power it has over you and the power it has to do damage to you. Now let's say you want justice from this disease. You want to make it hurt the way it made you hurt. You want to gather up all the virion. You want to get the central hive mind of this disease, and you want to set it down, and you want to just torture it. But in order to do that, you have to hold on to the disease. The longer you hold on to the disease is the more damage it does to you. Right? You can let go of the disease and let go of your desire to get justice from the disease, or you can cling to the disease and cling to the hope that you can make it hurt the way it made you hurt. But you can't do both. You can get over the disease and heal, or you can cling to it in the hopes to make it hurt the same way you hurt. That same principle applies to every single thing in existence. It applies to corruption, the body of corruption at large. You see, corruption has caused all this imbalance in the world. Those who it infects at the top of society, why, they are horrors of life forms. Everything about them needs to be just wiped from existence. Thing is, they've, in their state of ignorance, in their under the spell of corruption, these individuals who will have to answer to reality for what they've done and or allow corruption to do through them. Let's say these individuals hurt you. Let's say in their grand quest to amass resources so as to make themselves feel important and secure, as slaves do, they starved out your family. They created diseases to profit from, and then withheld medicine from all except those who could afford it. Let's say you've nurtured within yourself a deep hatred for them. Understandably, a deep hatred. And you want to make them suffer. The thing is, you have to choose between making them suffer and achieving balance. When under the spell of corruption, corruption is a horrid entity. It makes monsters out of men. It justifies the most horrific things imaginable, and people under this spell of addiction to themselves, why, they indulge in some of the most grotesque behavior imaginable. The thing is, someone made you hurt. You have to choose. Are you going to cling to your sense of justice and hope to get even with what they've done to you, or are you going to heal? Someone shoots you, and you have a choice to make it to the hospital or track him down and shoot him back. Which you going to choose? Most of you all have that vengeful spirit. You would die just trying to get even, which in itself makes you a host for corruption. You would die just trying to get even. Get to the hospital and heal from the bullet wound. Track down the person who shot you and shoot him back. Which would you choose? And before some smartass comes in, oh, I would go to the hospital on the hill, and then I would go and track them down and shoot them back. Nah, it's not healing. It might patch you up, but not to a degree that you'd actually heal. You know, a couple of years ago when this cowardly officer down in Georgia, this woman who ended up going to jail for breaking into, was it Gene Botham's home and shooting him, claiming she did it in self-defense. His family went and hugged this woman as she was sentenced to prison. All these black people were up in arms. Like, how dare they? How dare they? What kind of Stockholm Syndrome shit is this? And on one hand, I felt, you know, so long as it wasn't deep social acting, I would have been down for it. Because at the end of the day, they had to heal from the tragedy of their kin being stripped away from them. Now, like the majority of the ideologues out there, they could have remained in this state of vengeance. Their sense of justice may not have been satisfied. And they could have forever held on to this notion that no punishment is enough, no punishment is great enough to make her feel the pain she's caused to them. Like even her getting killed wouldn't make the pain of their loss go away. And in that moment, you have to choose. You choose to heal, or you choose vengeance. Do you choose to improve and advance, or hold someone down and make them hurt the way that you hurt? Could have done a better transition in that, but yeah, that's what it boils down to. Do you heal, or do you try to get even? Because you can't do both. You know, I don't know that I've ever interacted with a woman who wasn't violated by a man on some level. That's fucking sad. It hurts my soul to know that every woman I've interacted with on some level, in some way, shape, or form, has been violated by some sissy who never learned how to control his impulses or emotions. Someone who thought it was his right to live and benefit at the expense of her. Some people internalize being victimized, and others choose to press forward in spite of it. Some people's lives never go back to normal. Other people choose to not let victimhood become the new normal. They choose healing over justice. And that's in no way to downplay the trauma that results, the fear of disempowerment that results from being victimized. That's in no way, shape, or form meant to invalidate the psychological and physical wounds that many women have to deal with and endure through as a result of cowards trying to use physical force or situational advantages to prey upon them. But the thing is, it happened. You know, I was abused often as a kid. I was abused a lot through most of my childhood and adolescence. I was bullied, I was picked on, kicked, punched. I was called names. I was devalued. I was made to know how ugly and stupid I was. Even into adulthood, it stopped being physical and became more situational, where I worked for cowardly managers who wanted to make sure that I knew my place as a black man, suffered through their little tyranny, make me know they can make my job harder. Then all of a sudden I become an avatar, or find out that I'm an avatar. Tables are turned. All of a sudden, regardless of whether or not you believe it, the entire fate of this species kind of rests on my shoulders right now. It has ever since I took on this mantle. If I stop doing what I do, it's pretty much a guarantee upon exiting the mortal coil, everybody shit is fucked up. But I persist in trying to do what I do. When you have a situational advantage over people that's so fucking locked in and incontestable that you're not even worried about whether or not they recognize it, it gives you a type of power that most people will never experience. They'll go around trying to flex on people because of what I am. No. Do I try and target people who have done wrong to me, make them know what's going to happen once we're out of these flesh suits? No need. I give people fair warning, but everybody who comes to me in a spirit of cooperation and desire to understand, I don't care how badly you've done me, I'll treat you good. That is to say, my sense of justice, my strong desire to make others suffer for all they've done to me, in order for me to be what I am and to function in the way that I'm able to, that shit had to get checked at the door. That's partially why I had to go through the most brutal enlightenment phase imaginable, wherein it's like I had to go to people who I didn't like and ask for help, and sleep on people's floors and have all my material possessions stripped away, because you can't step into this shit with pride. Which ironically circles back to the point of clinging to your sense of justice. Pride. Reality hates pride. You want to get even, not because it's essential, but because someone offended your pride. And your pride, the more you sort of lean on it and lean into it, is the more you allow it to do the thinking for you. Yeah, man. You get to choose healing or making other people hurt, but never both. When you make other people hurt, it gives you the illusion of feeling better, but it's fleeting. It doesn't last. Someone did you wrong and you got even, but getting even, it didn't make you feel better, did it? I mean, temporarily. But then, after you got even, you start thinking of ways to go further and ways to take more. And then justifying your desire to take more from them by saying, they deserve it. They did this to me first. They made me hurt first. I want to make them hurt. It's only fair. Then after a while, you become the tyrant who they need to get even with in exchange. And it's a vicious cycle. It never ends. Moral symmetry is always skewed by and according to self-interest. The perception of justice is always skewed by and according to self-interest, which means you're always going to think what's fair is whatever works out best in and or towards your favor. It's not fair if you don't come out on top, which is very different from balance. Balance occurs at the systemic level. At the systemic level, you ever watch a say for instance God damn it, I hate when people need attention that fucking bad. It's insane. This species, I tell you. But you watch an antelope and a lion in a field. The antelope is with their kid, and I think this is I think antelope is a species, but the antelope is going after the kid, and the parent is standing in the way, and let the tiger is going after the antelope's child, and the antelope will stand in the way or put itself in the way so that the child can get away. And the ferocious lion will kill the parent. Does the baby that got away plot its revenge? Does the baby that got away plot its revenge? No, it doesn't seek justice. Why? Because the circle of life, it happens at the level of the system. It happens at the level of the system. It doesn't happen at the individual level. Antelopes don't get around and collecting troops and figure out how they're going to get even with, and the buffalo don't do it either. How are we going to get even with these cats, these lions that come and took our brethren? We have to get even. We need to get justice. We want our vengeance. They don't do that, do they? They move forward in life. They heal from the wounds of loss and keep it moving. That's balance. Anybody out there tonight? Am I talking to the wind? I really want to know how bad the sound on this fan is. I don't know. It's like I won't be able to know until I hit playback. But yeah, man. That's how it is. You get to choose healing or making others hurt. But you can't have both. In order to make others hurt, you have to cling to corruption. Corruption is what imbues you with the will and desire to cause injury to others. Someone hurts you, and in order to want to hurt them back as opposed to healing, you have to cling to corruption. It's like a poisoned dagger. Only thing is, you're holding the blade, trying to hit them with the butt of the knife. You get even, or you get better, but never both. Never both. Someone killed your family member. You spend 30 years plotting your revenge. Or you can choose to go inward, make peace with the fact that the loved one you lost was ultimately going to die one day anyway, and that the only thing taken from you was a few extra years, maybe a few extra days, because let's say the person who killed your loved one was unsuccessful in their attempt, but the very next day your loved one got hit by a car. Or plane fell out of the sky and crushed him, or the sun exploded and we all died. Clinging to your desire to achieve moral symmetry, it enslaves you to corruption. Your desire for vengeance will necessarily enslave you to the devil. It's a lot of different ways to look at this too, because a lot of people they feel violated by and angry at people who threaten, undermine, or invalidate their inner stories. The majority of the people who I know who interact with me, who are mad at me, who don't like me, hey, you violated my inner story, Donald King. You invalidated what I thought was true about me and the world around me. You made me feel less important. You made me feel less special. I hate you. I've never done anything to these people. Never in my life done anything to hurt these people. Yet they have it in their mind that justice somehow falls to me, suffering for their amusement and satisfaction. They think that justice is someone coming along and humiliating me and making me know my place so that they can experience some perception of moral symmetry. He deserves to suffer for making me feel insecure and uncertain. He deserves to be humiliated. Yeah. I don't know if Facebook is playing again tonight. If anybody's watching this, man, shoot me with a quick comment. Let me know that the comments are working tonight. I see notifications coming in on my bell, but I don't see any messages just yet. So if for whatever reason you're commenting and I'm not able to respond, it's because I don't see your comments showing up. Sometimes I'd be playing games like that. So yeah, man. But that's how it goes. Someone violates you. You get to choose between healing and trying to make them hurt in return. But even in the example of me explaining things to people, just simply speaking truth from my platform, and it causing so many people anguish and distress, you know, they get to choose between hoping something is going to come along and hurt me and injure me and subdue me and humiliate me, or simply making peace with the fact that I see reality in the world in a way that they don't, and getting past the fact that someone suggested their feelings and beliefs are incorrect. But so many, they cling to this desire to see me broken, to satisfy their inner sense of justice. And all it does is anger them more and more the more they see me be accurate and on the money. All it does is make them feel more intimidated and more powerless the more I demonstrate myself to be insanely consistent and extremely aware of myself. Clinging to their sense of justice does nothing to help them heal from the psychological wound of me saying their belief systems are incorrect. It does nothing to help them heal from me invalidating their vanity and false sense of self-assuredness. Yeah, man. Oh my God, that brother Latrone in the house, in the building. What's good, my brother? How you doing tonight, man? I appreciate you for checking in. Thank you kindly. You know, Facebook, they like to play with my stream every now and again. They're like, "Hey, man, this is our platform. We have the power." And I'm assigning intention to what's going on. It could just be glitches happening in their software or within the greater system and scaffolding and stuff like that. So I'm assigning attention to it just being ornery. But yeah, sometimes things don't fire the right way. So I try not to blame people until I can be absolutely sure. Though seeing through the perspective I see through, knowing that there's intention behind the majority of the disconnect and or failure to make a connection between me and the rest of the species, knowing that there's intention guiding that, you know, it's not hard to deduce that whenever there's any sort of mechanical glitch, that someone's on the other side controlling it. I mean, like, come on, I know I'm being monitored at all time. I know, like, come on, you know, you can can't be a black dude in America who can do universal math and not raise an eyebrow or two. Who is this guy? Why can he do these things? We don't like him. By the way, question: how is the sound from the fan? Is it overwhelming or anything like that? I don't know if it is, but hopefully it's not too loud. I try to have it blocked from. Try to have the microphone blocked from the direction it's coming from, but we'll see. So anywho, yeah, man, I'm glad that at least, you know, I am able to connect with audience out there. I don't know if anybody sees me a lot of days, so yeah. But guys, we get to choose. We each get to choose. You getting even, or you getting better? You healing or making somebody else hurt? This goes up to the universal scale of plane. This issue, and I'm going to go meta here, so I'm speaking as an avatar right now. So all parasitic life forms and entities and things of this nature, they all trace back to being structural building blocks belonging to a parasitic twin universe, which is burrowing into and cannibalizing and transforming the body of the universe we presently co-opt, right? Now, this parasitic twin, it is in this grand state of suffering and pain that was brought on by it being violated by the entity we refer to as corruption, right? Religion refers to this phenomenon as devil or Satan. Now, corruption, once it violated our sibling universe, the sibling universe, it became an extension of corruption. It's very much like what happens when a person has been molested and they sort of perpetuate the cycle of molestation because it infects them, it infects their soul, it infects their spirit. Well, that's what happened with our parasitic twin universe. The reason why it's important to mention that is because all of that aggression and narcissism and competition that corruption, the entity, sowed into this sibling, this twin universe, it transferred down to and throughout all of its structural building blocks. And it caused them to turn on and aggress against their sibling. So we're looking at a soon-to-be conjoined twin situation, but right now it's basically a parasitic twin attacking a healthy host. The reason why it's important to mention this is because the parasitic twin universe, before reality caused that cease and desist, the reality has already called the cease and desist, but before reality caused a freeze to its building blocks and cuts away everything that's still corrupt, this parasitic twin, what it's basically trying to do is make its sibling hurt in the same way that it hurts. It doesn't have the mental skills, it doesn't have the faculties and acuity to sort of articulate its pain and to make sense of what happened to it. So the only thing it knows how to do is try to transfer all of its aggression and its rage into its sibling. This is what's happening at the universal scale, which is why entities like me exist, sort of explain to the parasitic twin and its building blocks what's going on, why it's hurting, and why it's doing all these really horrific things to the body of its sibling. Yeah, so this goes all the way up to the universal scale of plane. And this parasitic twin, all of its building blocks ultimately have to choose between healing and or emerging from this state of parasitism and or corruption, or continuing to be aggressive and try to take out their anger and frustrations on the body of their sibling. You get to stay in an aggressor state or reach a neutral state. You get to be in a state or achieve a state of balance and calm, or you can remain in a state of distress and continue to rack up negative debts to reality. Oh, Brother Latron just coming. Brother Latron just coming. Just chilling on vacation. Keep doing your thing. Thank you, good sir. And I'm glad that you're on vacation. I saw y'all doing squats on the beach, man. Y'all got a beautiful family. Beautiful family. Bro. My man. I'm glad that you are having a good time on vacation. Y'all have a beautiful family, man. It's just good to see a good brother out here, man. I appreciate all the good energy you bring into the world, man. I really do. But yeah, we have, we each get to choose, guys. And this is what the whole concept of choosing which master you'll serve boils down to. Are you going to serve corruption, or are you going to serve reality? Are you going to remain in an aggressive, narcissistic, and competitive state? Or are you going to sort of recognize and sync up with reality and move into a state of balance and symbiosis and mutualism? But you can't do both. You can't do both. We each get to choose. We each get to choose. Healing or making others hurt? That's a tough one, man. Again, I'm talking about all the things that I've been through growing up, all the abuse I endured and all those other things. You know, when I was a kid, I used to dream about getting even, making everybody see my value, making everybody see all the pain they caused to me and sit with all of the hurt and guilt. That was my dream. That's what I wanted most. Now I'm in a state of life where I'm in a stage of life where if I wanted to, I could make that a reality. I mean, like even if just using the types of mental gifts that have been afforded to me on this side of existence, I could get even in ways I don't think anyone is powerful enough to stop. Like, I mean, you guys really haven't seen how far I can go in the way of just thinking. Just if I were to use this type of power irresponsibly, I mean, I could do a lot of damage, man. But in doing so, I would have to give up access to the avatar perspective. Now, it's imbued me with enough wisdom and discernment now for me to make a go of it on my own and still come out fairly decent. In the grand scheme of life, like, you know, if I became exploitive natured, I have enough knowledge and wisdom under my belt to come out ahead. But I mean, I'd have to pay for it on the back end. And even with having to pay for it on the back end, I'd have to lose all the healing and all the balance that came to me with allowing this thing into my life and allowing it to become the essence of who, what, and how I am. Every day I have to choose between I have to make the choice and or choose between living for self and living for my sense of justice and living for this purpose, this mission. So many people are like, you need to take care of yourself. You've done a lot of work. You deserve. And sometimes it does get in my head. I deserve. Start thinking in terms of justice. Look at all the work I've done trying to help people. Look at all the shit I've endured through. I deserve. And then I have to remember which master I serve. And I have to remind myself of all the ways in which I've benefited and healed from this being my life path now as a result of, or as opposed to, what would happen if I lived selfishly and continued down the path of narcissism. I get to choose, though. Get to choose. So yeah, man. Yeah. You know what? I think I might wrap it up here, you know? Yeah, I mean, I think I've belabored the point. I've been tautological. I've belabored the point by now. But, yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and start shutting down, I guess. Y'all already know what it is. You can check me out on Facebook Live. I shoot these Mondays and Wednesdays. And also I obviously record videos to Instagram. I fly all of these videos, these podcasts, over to my YouTube channel, and I have a few to catch up on right now. But I also post content to Medium. You guys can check me out on all these platforms. Also, if you get any sort of benefit or appreciation out of what I do, and you're like, hey man, we just want to salt bay you with a little bit of love, you can always toss something in the collection plate. That sounds like churchy, but it's not. You can always hit me up on hit me up at Donnie Kang on Cash App. That's DONNIEKANG at Cash App. And if you want to join the Patreon family, obviously you could. Proceeds go to building this up to a larger platform. Again, I want to reach as many people as I can before I'm out of this body. And you know, I never know how much time I have in it, so it's always best to try and press forward as best I can now. Want to get into a bigger space and have, you know, an environment where I can actually have like guests, regular guests and whatnot. So hopefully we can make that happen. You know, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this one a little bit short tonight. But we're going to go back to... oh, yeah, I forgot. Look at this. I'm sorry. If you want to join the Patreon family, you can always join. It's Avatar Cycle XIII. That's Avatar Cycle 13. And then also on Instagram, you can catch me at Avatar Cycle XIII. Avatar Cycle 13. Sorry about that, guys. So, yeah, we're going to... you know, just go ahead and wrap it up here. Again, the main thing that I want to drive home, and hopefully it's a point that I've driven home well enough, is the fact that we each get to choose. We each get to choose. You can live for aggression, competition, and vanity, and through that you can live for vengeance, or you can live for balance and healing, but you can't do both. You cannot do both. You're going to get better or get even. You're going to heal or make somebody else hurt. You can never do both. You can never do both. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Much love to you, and I hope you have a wonderful night. It's your man. I'm out.